Chapter 5: The Birth of Solar System. Before there was Earth, before there was even light in our corner of the galaxy, there was only dust. A quiet, endless sea of gas and debris, drifting through darkness. Nothing more than the ashes of dead stars, waiting to be reborn. But in that silence, something was about to awaken. Then it happened. A nearby star reached the end of its life and exploded, a supernova. Its shockwave ripped across space, slamming into the ancient cloud. The calm sea of dust began to twist, spin, collapse. And in the heart of that chaos, something stirred. Gravity pulled everything inward, tighter, hotter, denser. The pressure built until it could no longer be contained. And then a spark. The center of the storm caught fire, and our sun was born. Sun. For the first time, light burst into this part of the galaxy, golden, wild, unstoppable. The sun roared to life like a newborn god, spitting storms of plasma into the void. Powerful solar winds screamed across space, sweeping away the dust and gas that had once surrounded it. But that dust didn't vanish. It began to gather, to spin, to collide. Tiny particles clumped together, forming stones. Those stones collided, becoming mountains. And those mountains fused to form worlds. Globes showing Europe, Africa. Worlds that would one day carry oceans, air, and life. Closer to the blazing sun, the heat melted everything solid. Planets of rock and metal were born. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. Their surfaces burned with molten fury, their skies filled with toxic storms. Farther away, where sunlight weakened, giants began to form, Jupiter and Saturn, swollen with gas and power. Uranus and Neptune, icy and distant, spinning in the cold silence of space. Each world a different story, each orbit a delicate balance in a grand cosmic dance. But among them all, one planet stood out. Small, blue, fragile, a miracle waiting to happen. At first, Earth was chaos. Volcanoes erupted endlessly, meteors rained from the skies, lightning tore through poisonous clouds. But beneath all that destruction, something sacred was forming. Elements forged in the hearts of ancient stars, carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, were coming together. The ingredients for life itself. As time passed, the fires cooled, the air began to clear. Oceans spread across the surface. The chaos was slowly turning into harmony. The newborn solar system had finally found peace. Planets spun gracefully around the sun. Moons orbited their worlds. And silence returned to space. But that silence wouldn't last long, because on one small blue planet, a spark was about to ignite. A spark that would change everything. The story of life was about to begin. Headphone Chapter 6: The Birth of Earth and the First Life. The chaos had finally settled. The newborn sun glowed gently in the sky, surrounded by a family of planets, each one a child of fire and dust. But one of them was different. Small, blue, quietly spinning at the perfect distance from the raging sun. That planet was Earth, globe showing Europe, Africa. In its earliest days, Earth was a battlefield. Oceans of lava boiled across its surface, volcanoes screamed with fury, and the sky was thick with poison. No light could break through. No sound but thunder and fire. Yet even in that chaos, something was quietly preparing to awaken. Over millions of years, the planet began to cool. Lava turned to stone. Storms condensed into clouds. And the first drops of rain began to fall, not for hours, but for thousands of years. It rained until the entire surface was covered in vast oceans. Water wave. For the first time, Earth was blue. Lightning danced across the waters, splitting molecules apart and joining them in new ways. Deep in those ancient oceans, something unthinkable began to stir. Not instantly, not magically, but slowly, patiently, molecule by molecule. Hydrogen met carbon. Carbon embraced oxygen. And from that dance of elements, the first fragile spark of life flickered into existence. It wasn't a creature, not yet. It was a single cell, so small it couldn't be seen, but powerful enough to change everything. That cell divided, and divided again, and again. Each generation learning, adapting, surviving. In the deep, dark oceans of a young Earth, life had begun. No witness, no sound, only the rhythm of existence, beating in the heart of water and stone. Volcanoes continued to shape the land, the sky filled with gas and fire, yet life endured, clinging to vents at the bottom of the sea, feeding on heat and minerals. And every tiny spark of survival wrote a new line in the universe's story. Millions of years passed. Those simple forms of life grew more complex. They learned to breathe, to feed, to multiply. The ocean became their kingdom, a living, moving world beneath the waves. But the most mysterious part? Every living being that would ever exist, every animal, every tree, every human, traces its story back to that one impossible spark in those ancient seas. You are not a coincidence. You are a continuation. A chapter in a story that began 4 billion years ago when the Earth first learned to live. And this was only the beginning, because soon, life would rise from the oceans, walk on land, and look up, wondering where it came from. The story of life had begun its next chapter, and the universe was watching. Milky Way. Would you like me to create Chapter 7? When life rose from the oceans next, where plants, creatures, and evolution begin, written in the same cinematic, suspenseful, emotional storytelling tone? Headphone Chapter 7, When Life Rose from the Oceans. For billions of years, life had known only one home, the oceans. A hidden world beneath waves of endless blue. Creatures of every shape and size thrived in the darkness, breathing water, feeding on light that barely reached their depth. But change is the only constant in the universe, and the time for life to evolve had come. Deep within the ocean's heart, simple cells had become complex. Some learned to work together, forming bodies, limbs, and eyes. They learned to move faster, to hunt, to hide. The seas turned into vast battlegrounds of creation and survival. Then, something extraordinary happened. A few brave forms of life, perhaps by accident, perhaps by destiny, reached the edge of the ocean, where water met land, and for the first time in history, life looked upon the shore. Waterwave, Raitero Desert Island. The air burned their skin. The land felt strange beneath them. But evolution does not fear discomfort. It adapts. Slowly, over countless generations, creatures began to breathe air. Their fins became legs. Their gills became lungs. And what was once impossible became real. Life had left the oceans. Green spread across the land, the first plants rising from the soil, feeding on sunlight. The air filled with oxygen. Forests began to grow. The planet that once burned in chaos now shimmered with color and life. Herb globe showing Europe, Africa. Insects crawled, then flew. Amphibians leapt from the water. Reptiles ruled the lands. And soon, great beasts would rise, creatures that would shake the very ground beneath them. The Earth had become a masterpiece of evolution. Every sound, every heartbeat, every wingbeat was the echo of billions of years of survival. But even as life flourished, the universe had plans of its own. Extinction, transformation, rebirth. The cycle would continue again and again, shaping the future in ways no creature could imagine. The oceans had given birth to life. The land had given it strength. And the sky would one day give it dreams. Because one day, a creature would rise that could look beyond the trees and the stars and ask the question no other life form had ever dared to ask. Where did I come from? The story of Earth was no longer just about survival. It was about consciousness. Chapter 8. The Rise of Humanity. Billions of years had passed since the first spark of life. Oceans had risen and fallen. Mountains had formed and vanished. And through it all, life had evolved, endlessly changing, adapting, surviving. But evolution was not done yet, because something extraordinary was about to emerge. Something that would not just live, but think. From the vast wilderness of Earth came a new kind of creature, fragile, curious, and restless. It had no claws, no armor, no wings. And yet it would become the most powerful being the planet had ever known. That creature was human. Footprints. In the beginning, we were wanderers, children of the wild, guided only by instinct. We lived in the shadows of mountains, by the warmth of fire, beneath skies filled with stars we did not yet understand. But within us burned something no other creature possessed, a spark of awareness. We began to wonder, to question, to dream. We learned to shape tools from stone. We painted on cave walls to tell our stories. We learned to speak, to imagine, to remember. And in doing so, we awakened something ancient within the universe itself, the power to think about existence. For the first time in cosmic history, the universe could look back at itself through human eyes. Ice sparkles. We studied the stars that gave us life. We named them. We followed them across the sky. And deep inside, we felt something strange, a longing to return to where we came from. Civilizations rose from the dust. We built cities, languages, knowledge. We learned to harness fire, water, and the power of the atom itself. Each discovery brought us closer to understanding who we truly are, children of the stars, reaching back toward our origin. But with power came questions, and with questions came fear. Who are we? Why are we here? And what lies beyond the veil of space and time? We searched the heavens. We sent ships beyond the sky. We listened for voices among the stars, hoping to find someone or something that could answer the questions written in our souls. And yet, the deeper we look into the universe, the more we realize that perhaps the universe has been looking back all along. Because in us, the universe has found a way to see itself, to understand itself, to tell its own story. We are not separate from the cosmos. We are the cosmos made conscious. Milky Way. From the birth of light, to the birth of stars, to the birth of life. Every moment has led to this.
To you, to now.
To this very second, where the universe is watching itself through your eyes. And maybe, just maybe, this isn't the end of the story. It's only the beginning of what comes next. Subscribe for the next chapter.